Rich, everybody loves. Me, always a mixed bag. Hannah Doba, thank you very much. Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to News Nation, where right and left come to be reasonable. Question: do you see something missing in America right now? I do. And it became really obvious to me based on a few new reports. For example, you see that consumer sentiment got more positive recently? So we had 5 straight months of going down, and then in May, it shot up 12 points. Why? The quick answer is because Trump relaxed the tariffs with China. This is interpreted by one side as weakness, right? It's being called the taco trade by investors buying on this news. It stands for Trump always chickens out. The media loved presenting this to the president, and social media was abuzz with his expected reaction.
Analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. The sad thing is now when I make a deal with them, it's something much more reasonable. They'll say, oh, he was chicken. He was chicken.
Now, I was a little surprised that he didn't say, taco, I'm no taco, Biden's a taco. Social media is now full of AI videos and memes of Trump as a chicken or eating tacos. Is it funny? Yeah, sure, it's funny. But it's also just another cheap gotcha, and it's why he hates the media, and it's why a lot of people don't trust us the way they should, because it's obvious what you were doing there. You were just baiting them. And I actually believe that there is a metaphor in that. I actually think this is a demonstration of what's holding America back. Look, criticism is part of life. It's certainly part of politics. It's part of what I do on a regular basis, more than most, perhaps. However, as any spouse or parent or employer knows, it is better when criticism is constructive, right? But let's be honest, that doesn't work in the surreal world of party politics. They're all about the other side being worse. Negativity is a proxy for meaningful insight. All attack, all the time, on everything. And you know this. And we saw it again in the latest in-depth post-mortem study for the Democrats on why they lost the 2024 election. The study found they lost support among nearly all of the key demographics. Why? Because Trump sucks is not enough. We get what they are against, and there is merit to the criticisms. But America is about more than what you are against. Americans want to know what you are for. And there, Democrats either seem to be abnormal or absent when it came to what they thought would make things better. The study also said they need systemic change to what and whom they represent. See, that's what I mean about being in the business of better. I just don't say it because it's alliterative. Many support the president despite his execution because they believe that at least he's trying. He's trying to clean up the border. He's trying to help workers. He's trying to make deals. Now, you can disagree with that appraisal of Trump, but you need to recognize the guiding light: optimism. Americans are literally a manifestation of an act of faith. This place was never supposed to be. It is the only place of its kind because we stubbornly refuse to quit on the idea. People want reason to believe in better, even if they're not sure you can deliver. They still want you to make them believe. This is proven by that consumer sentiment survey. Sure, less tariffs means lower prices, but that's not all people reported. And no, Trump isn't right to say we were dead 6 months ago. It's not true. But consumer sentiment was going up before Trump paused the tariffs. Why? Because consumers were hopeful. that there may be better deals to come for the economy because of what Trump was trying. Look, I've said from the beginning, tariffs are a gamble. They are only worth it if they yield better deals for us as consumers and, more importantly, as workers. But it seems that too many of you just want Trump to fail, even if it means the country suffers. And this is where I got to stand and say no, okay? This is where politics becomes poisonous to the American people. Are you somebody who gets upset when I say, gee, I hope the Trump administration gets some wins on trade? Or I hope that Trump gets a win by getting Hamas to accept the ceasefire deal that Israel has already accepted? I really think people have to start thinking about what they actually want. Do you just want advantage over Trump or the Democrats, or do you want the advancement of the country? Are you an American or an Americant? This is why I caution Democrats they need to move past constantly praying for Trump's downfall. Not because I have a horse in the party race. I am against the party system, okay? But what do I want? I want better for your family. I want better for my family. I'm worried about my oldest who just got out of college and what her future holds. And she is luckier than most. First and foremost, though, I want better for us, and I don't care who makes it happen. I don't even care that much how, to be honest. Now, I'm not sure how many in the arena really feel that same way, or at least would admit it. Besides, even if you don't see the virtue in what I'm arguing, you better see the folly of just slinging mud with Trump. That's his happy place. You know what I mean? So even if you only care about winning, trying to out MAGA won't work, okay? Another example, the trade court hemming in Trump on tariffs. I am not surprised from a legal perspective, okay? Trump likely exceeded the authority Congress granted him to employ emergency tariffs. Okay, that's what the IEEPA, that's what that statute says pretty clearly. There's a standard, and you can totally understand why the court said many of his tariffs were ultra vires, meaning beyond his power. Because of the standard. Same on immigration. You have to respect due process. But why are people celebrating the ruling? Respect for the law? I don't know. I don't know if that's not taking a back seat to just simply relishing Trump losing, even if it means less chance of getting things done that make the country better. Now, I'm okay with the first, but not the second. The struggle in America is real for too many in too many ways. Small businesses are vulnerable right now. People are scared of being ripped out of the only lives they know all over this country without cause or because after entering the wrong way, they've done everything the right way. Let me tell you something. No matter what your struggle, and everybody has one, we all know one thing. Nothing will ever get better in your life if you are not all in on getting to a better place. Are we as a nation? Now, you know who is? NewsNation. That's why NewsNation went to East Palestine when other people weren't. That's why we have both sides. That's why we, do everything we can to get lawmakers from both parties for you to see them together on the screen. That's why. Because we are making an investment in optimism. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of potential upside for us when it comes to trade deals, especially with China. They are hurting economically, and they need us as much or more as we need them. But we have to get past trying to bring down whoever is in power. We have to change petty interest and advantage over a side for the optimism of advancement for the country as a whole. You can look at what's going on now and see a recipe for disaster or a recipe for better. But I'm telling you, where China is involved, the tariffs are dicey, but there is potential upside because China is not the hegemon that people think they are. And you know who's got unique insight in that right now? Bill O'Reilly, who on his vacation, has become a special correspondent about China. And I got to tell you something. He won't admit this. He went to China not for work, not for his book. He went for his son as a graduation present. That is very cool. But he learned some lessons, and he wanted to call from over there to fill me in. Now they're in Seoul, South Korea, but he was in China. That's Bill with Spencer. You talk about a man's legacy. That kid is every best part of Bill O'Reilly times two. From his height to his looks to his intelligence to what's inside of him. That kid has got all the right stuff. So Bill O'Reilly joins me now on the phone live from Seoul, South Korea about what he now knows from his China experience. Mr. O'Reilly, can you hear me? And what do you have to report to the audience?
Unfortunately, I can hear you, Cuomo, but I want to congratulate you of reading the intro that I wrote for you perfectly. So let me set this up, because the China-United States story is the most important story in the world. And it's not even close. And this is a long-term story, but people in America don't understand it, and people in China don't hear it, because China is a totalitarian police state. So I wrote a column today on BillO'Reilly.com about the micro of how I got here and what happened, just briefly, because I want to get to the main points. So when the Chinese government found out that I was taking my son to China, they contacted me through a third party and said, would you be willing to do a seminar Q&A with high-ranking members of the Xi administration? I said, okay, do I get a free supper? They go, yeah, we'll give you a free supper. Okay, 2 hours at the Beijing Club for International Relations, which is their big think tank about how they deal with the world, but particularly the United States of America. So I go in there, and the most powerful guys and one woman in the country are sitting across from me asking me questions for 2 hours. It was off the record by their request. And I said, okay. And then after they were happy, and they said, if we use something, can you give permission? I said, if you use anything, I need to use it too. And I will send it to NewsNation immediately, because it was taped. The whole thing was taped. So the thrust of it, let me give you this, just the bullet point headlines, and then you can ask me anything you want. They are happy Trump's president. They had no use for Joe Biden at all. Why? They considered him weak and unfocused. Number two, and most important, they want to make a variety of deals. Basically, they want deals that are going to help them. They don't care about us as far as individuals are concerned. But as you just stated, China needs us. Three, as part of those deals, they are willing to do things that would advance the welfare of the United States. Then they paused, and I jumped in, and this was all said in Q&A. They didn't give me any statements. And I said, I've been working on a proposal that is called a Partnership for Peace and Prosperity. I've been working on this for a year, whereby the United States and China, the People's Republic, would join together to pretty much police the world. That all the miscreants would be dealt with by these two countries, because obviously China and the USA are the most powerful entities on the planet, and no one can stand up against them. No one. There was silence in the room, and then I was peppered with questions about that proposal. The problem is, as you stated, there's a bunch of one-upsmanship going on now from both sides. That's got to stop. Now, I know that President Trump respects Xi. because he told me that. I don't know how she, because she wasn't there, but Xi's whisperer, Cuomo, was in the room. I can't give you his name, but he is by far the most powerful person outside of Xi in this country. And we actually had dinner with him afterward. How's that for name dropping? So fire away. What do you want to know?
Two things. One, what did you make of their disposition towards the idea that there's only one number one and it should be them?
No, that's never going to happen. And here's another headline. The tariffs are not the main subject in Beijing. Taiwan is. And there were a lot of questions about Taiwan. And again, it was off the records. I can't tell you the Q&A. I can't quote. But there is a way out of this Taiwan thing. And I put it forth, and they put their view, and it is doable. Xi and Trump could solve this problem. And that was the most optimistic thing I took away from the whole 4-hour experience.
What was the level of recognition that they have domestic problems economically and socially?
None. The Chinese will never, ever, ever admit weakness. Ever. So you're not going to get anything out of them. Look, when you read my dispatch on BillO'Reilly.com, you'll see that this is the most intense police state that has ever existed on the planet. As a young man, I was in Spain under Franco. I have been to Cuba. I have been to Romania when it was dominated by the Soviet Union. I've seen the totalitarian states. There is nothing like this ever existed. There are cameras on every corner. We must have been stopped 10 times in a day to show our passport, our papers. Every Chinese citizen, 1.5 billion, must carry an ID at all times. And if they don't produce it, they are taken into custody. There isn't a piece of litter on the street of Beijing. There is no homeless. It is not permitted because it violates, quote, the normal social order. Never has there been a country on this earth that has been so controlled as China. But that's not our concern in America. That's never going to change because the Chinese people buy into it. After Tiananmen Square, and the anniversary is next week, the Chinese government said, that's it. No more dissent. And there is none. And no Chinese official would ever say anything negative about their country, economy or otherwise.
Fascinating stuff. Bill O'Reilly, thank you for interrupting your trip to give us a little bit of insight. I look forward to hearing more when you're back here on American Terra Firma. Enjoy the rest of your trip, and thank you for calling in.
Okay,
appreciate it. Say hello to Spencer.
Two quick things. Just tell Dusty to just take a deep breath here. Number one, I'm writing an extensive column on Sunday on BillO'Reilly.com about this and how the Trump-Xi thing, I believe, is going to come down. And number two, the reason I was invited here, Cuomo, and you're not going to like this, is because the Chinese believe that I am the most influential journalist in the world. When they said that to me, I turned to I said, is there someone else coming? But the Chinese flatter you. They don't, but they monitor everything in the American media. They knew everything that I've done in the past year on the No Spin News, on NewsNation, and my other outlets. They have it across the board. But the people see nothing. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, Bill. Thank you very much. Have a safe rest of your trip. I'll see you when you come back. Bill O'Reilly, 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Coming up, I mean, that is very good news for us, because if the Chinese can be that wrong about something so basic, we should be able to get some better deals, don't you think? The Democrats' election loss. What does James Carville, in my opinion, as good a mind as the Democrats have, what does he think of what they digested in that postmortem, in that autopsy? What does he think about the Dems trying to go blue MAGA? Trump's making mistakes. That's easy. How do you do better? That's what the Democrats are facing. Let's bring in legendary strategist, Mr. James Carville. What'd you think of Bill O'Reilly's dispatch from China? Do you think they were being straight with him? They said he is the most potent journalist in the history of the world.
Look, I'm not going to comment on who's a potent journalist or not. That's not my expertise. You can get to people at Columbia Review of Journalism to talk about that. I'm not an expert in that field. And from what I listened to his interview, and what he said clearly comports with other things that people that have been to China have told me the same thing. It's a very totalitarian, authoritarian state that's very security conscious, doesn't harbor dissent. It's the most authoritarian. I don't know. It seems North Korea could compete with them pretty good, but I don't have but from everything he said, it seemed pretty in line with most of the things I'd heard previously or been told.
I agree with you, except for the Columbia Journalism review.
I don't know.
The last thing I want is those those gumshoe elitists telling me anything about anything. But let me ask you something.
Oh, I don't care. Okay,
I got you, Jimmy. I'm just messing with you. Let me ask you something. So the autopsy comes out. Trump sucks isn't enough. Democrats have to retool and show what they're for and how they're going to make things better if they want to build a new constituency. It's not a surprising message, but is it one that the party is receptive to, because they seem to be just trying to out MAGA?
Well, let's back it up. First of all, the catalyst is they're very competent data analysts, and they're very good at numbers and algorithms and regression analysis and all that. The truth of the matter is, if we'd have had a different candidate, we'd have won by 5. Understand, the most important thing in politics is candidate quality. You just don't put a bunch of numbers and get and say, well, you're down 2.5% with black males under 30, or you up this, or you're that. If the country wanted something different, we resolutely refused to give it to them. Mm-hmm. It still almost won the election. If we would have nominated Governor Whitmer or Shapiro or 5 other people, we'd have won this thing going away. It was an election that people wanted something different, and we gave them the same candidate, the same staff, the same message, the same record, the same everything. And that was what happened. It was just people were saying, I want something different. And they said, we're not doing anything different. And she was under orders from the president not to have 1 centimeter of space. And that's what happened. And I think catalysts, they do good stuff. Everybody looks at it. It's very analytical about what happened, but I'll tell you why it happened, because people wanted change and we didn't give it to them.
But it's not just the person, it's the proposition also. And it's what you're for. And you could have the best candidate ever. If all they're saying is Trump sucks, he's a Nazi, people were tired of it. It says it right in the report.
They would have never said that. And what am I supposed to do? So you have me on I'm supposed to be honest. I don't think Trump has any idea what he's doing. Okay, I just really don't. If you want my honest opinion, he doesn't have a strategy for tariffs. He just gets up in the morning and thinks of something else. So, but when you a political nominee that has real skill, that can articulate a message, but we're not going to get a message until we get a clear presidential nominee. But parties don't work like that just yet. There's nobody going to emerge until the beginning of 2028, and then there are going to be a lot of skilled people emerging. But we should have done this in 2024, and we would have won. It is the Democrats' fault that we lost, because we wouldn't give the country what they wanted. It was really stupid. Excuse me.
Process, I'm with you. But again, I think it's more than that. What if your process winds up revealing a far left candidate from your primary process who's like, hey, we got to lean in and be even more woke than ever, and we're angrier than they are?
When has the Democrats ever nominated the most far-left candidate? We don't do that. Let them run. They never get any votes. They never run against any Republicans. They're great fodder for cable news. They're great fodder for the internet. But when they go to post and run in the Democratic Party, they always lose. So I'm not really worried about the far left winning anything. And we have eons of skilled candidates that are not far left, that are maybe what I would call myself. I do not think I'm a moderate. I think I'm a liberal and a proud one, but okay, whatever somebody wants to call me, I don't really care. But there is a lot of skill out there, and I have zero concern that we would nominate a far left candidate. That's just not who the people that vote in the Democratic Party are at all. Not close.
Do you think enough people in this country believe Democrats want America to succeed versus just wanting Trump to fail?
I think the country understandably really knows the Democrats fall because we don't have a leader. We don't have any power. We're reacting. Look, I think there's golden opportunities over the summer. I think the stuff they're doing at the Veterans Administration, we have 18 veteran suicides a day. And they're cutting the veteran suicide hotline. They're cutting obligations that we made to veterans. If we can't make political hay out of that, and I don't think we ought to have a middle ground. I don't think 26 suicides a day are acceptable. I don't think that. And I think we have all kinds of issues, and you haven't seen anything till you see these deficit numbers that are going to come in after they pass this bill. They're going to be mind-boggling. I had Larry Summers on my podcast, and it's almost incomprehensible what they're getting ready to do. Incomprehensible. So we have to react to it. What do you think about it?
Well, Jimmy, I'll be here with you every step of the way. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what your party does with it. And I always look forward to your perspective. Thank you very much.
That's my opinion. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Always, always. James Carville, always welcome. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. News Nation goes to places that aren't getting the attention. That's what the mandate is. That's why we were in East Palestine. And it was a mistake that people didn't care. And it was a mistake that because they didn't do it right in the beginning, they then covered up what was real. And now they are suing because they were sick and they were ignored. Remember our town hall there? So now we have a new exclusive. Those East Palestine residents are now fighting back against the government that did them wrong. They are sick and they are fed up. Next.
This morning, the smell was particularly strong in the area. It's stronger than it has been in, a few days. Almost every person that I talked to while I was in town today has some sort of symptom, from rashes to headaches to nauseousness, coughing, respiratory problems.
She was telling the truth. News Nation went to East Palestine, Ohio, because others didn't. Because either you care about everyone or you care about nothing. And to us, Jami Wallace and her family, they matter, because I don't care whether you're from a red or a blue place, whether you're good for me or not politically. The idea that 5 cars of toxic vinyl chloride could derail and most of the media and the government would just pretend like it was no big deal because the place doesn't matter is as sickening as the chemicals were to the people there. 5 days after the accident, despite all the smoke and all the chemicals and all the crap, the residents were told, yeah, you can go home. Many knew it didn't make sense. You could still see it in the air. You could still smell it. And questions were consistent. And the EPA, what they were saying just didn't make sense. The presence was too small. They were obviously in CYA mode. And then this EPA whistleblower comes forward saying that the aerial testing was delayed and conducted improperly, making it impossible to determine if it were really safe or not. And yet, in a guidance sheet that was obtained exclusively by News Nation's investigative correspondent, Rich McHugh, residents and local doctors were told what? by federal officials. No testing or treatment related to a specific chemical exposure is recommended. Really? When the water is bubbling rainbows and you smell it in the air everywhere? Residents said medical professionals then followed that advice. Listen.
We were being told that there was a letter that was sent out telling our healthcare officials to disregard our concerns.
My mom went to the clinic in East Palestine, and when she asked, they would giggle at her and say, "That's your age."
You're crazy.
Yeah, her non-contagious pneumonia that she developed within a couple of weeks of coming back to East Palestine, that couldn't have been related.
The CDC had their own workers here, and they got sick, and they left. They didn't tell anyone in our village that they were getting sick. They just left us.
When we got that message, that's why we went to East Palestine and did the town hall there. And I'm telling you, you don't have to be a scientist to know that people there were sick. And now they have filed lawsuits. Good for them. Against who? Companies, the train company, of course, Norfolk Southern, the government agencies, CDC, EPA, FEMA. I want to bring in East Palestine resident Jami Wallace, who we've been following since day one, and her attorney in the case, Don Keenan, who's leading the legal effort. Don, Jami, thank you for being with us. First of all, Jami, how you doing, and how you feeling about this move?
I've been better health-wise. My family has been better, but I do feel like this is the right move. As you saw in the clip, CDC comes in and they get sick and they leave us here. They betrayed us. Our government betrayed us. We're tax-paying United States citizens, and our government left us. Still nothing, not even a bottle of water. So we had no other course but to find the fighters like we are to come in and to help us fight.
Counsel, legally, what is the sufficiency of the claim here? The government will say, look, we did what we were supposed to do. We checked all the boxes. We followed the regulations. And there's always some kind of negative fallout from something like this. But we couldn't pick up the whole community and move it, so we did what we could.
Chris, first of all, thank you for the spotlight that you've shown these proud people of East Palestine. Number one, 200 years ago, the Seventh Amendment of the Constitution provided a civil jury trial remedy. These people need a jury. They need a jury of their peers to take a look at this evidence and to see clearly the cover-up that was done and to do justice by these people. I mean, they've been on the short end of the stick from the very damn beginning, and it's unfair. These are good people, very good people. And I'm proud to say I was the product of a small town. And when I went up there and spent time with them, it was like I was dealing with the people that I was raised by, and they didn't deserve this, Chris. They just don't deserve it. What they do deserve is somebody like you and Rich that comes in with that powerful spotlight and exposes this. This is one of the first times when the EPA, who should be our guardian, has been sued for covering up, and they covered up big time. I can't believe that they thought the people would be that stupid and to accept it. Well, these people are not stupid, and they're standing up, and they're going to get their day in court before a jury, not a conveyor belt mass tort class action debacle, which has preceded this thing. They knew that wasn't right. So it's the jury trial coming up.
What do you think the most important aspect of this is, counsel?
The cover-up. Cover-up, no question about it. I mean, you don't have the words like toxic ingredients and then all of a sudden saying, oh, yeah, it's toxic, but it's not harmful. Well, toxic is deadly. You can't make a cover-up like that. And it was deliberate, and it was fulfilled over months and months and months. And, it almost worked. It really did. until the community came together and says, this ain't right. And so, yes, the spill was horrible and the collision was bad. Yeah, no question about it. But it's the cover-up that's the case.
Counsel, thank you. Jami, as you know, Rich is just a soldier of the truth. So he's always a call away. NewsNation is here for the duration, as promised from the beginning. We'll see it through. That's the job. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.